I'm Elizabeth Ruiz on the scene on Catholic Television of San Antonio, television that inspires. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm at Ben Milam Park in downtown San Antonio. It's right between Market Square and Children's Hospital of San Antonio. And right behind me is the beautiful artwork made of tile, tiny little pieces of tile, all put together for the spirit of healing. And we are going to learn about the artist. This is an artwork that is seen daily by tens of thousands of drivers who go down I-10 and I-35 on the western edge of downtown San Antonio. Those who drive by Market Square, those who drive by the Children's Hospital of San Antonio. But you may not know the artist behind this beautiful piece of art, Jesse Treviño. And I'll tell you why. He had to learn to paint. He had to learn to do artwork with his other hand. I'll tell you why, so stay with us. And how blessed I am now to be with the author of Spirit, the Life and Art of Jesse Treviño. This is Anthony Head. Welcome to On the Scene on Catholic Television of San Antonio.
Thank you, Liz. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, somebody had to tell the story of Jesse Treviño. I mean, the most renowned artist in San Antonio, in the Smithsonian Institution. I mean, come on. Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing this. How did your project get started?
Well, I actually had never heard of Jesse Treviño before going to see a show at the now closed Museo Alameda. His show, Mi Vida, was on exhibition there. I was on a press trip, and I liked the art very much. And then one of the docents, named Angel, told me a little bit of its backstory. And just from that very quick introduction, I realized that this story had to be told. And as I researched it, I realized it had been told in little bits and pieces over the years in newspapers and magazines and on television, but it had never been culled together in one place. And I thought that needed to be done.
Yes, and thank you so much for taking this project on, because Jesse Treviño's story is so inspiring. All of the obstacles that he had to overcome. I mean, he started painting when he was 6 years old. So he's been talented all of his life. I mean, I don't know if he started painting when he was 6, but that's when he won his first contest, right?
That's right. He won it at the Whitty Museum. He was in first grade, and he decided, after getting the applause, after getting a $40 check, and most importantly, after seeing his mother, Dolores Trevino, beaming at him from the front row, he decided that this was what he wanted to do for the rest of his life.
At that young age, he decided this was his calling. And then he went to Lanier High School, continued to develop his skills, his art skills. Fox Tech.
Yeah, Fox Tech.
Oh boy, the people at Fox Tech. Yeah, we don't want to get them upset at us. So he went to Fox Tech, continued developing his talents there. And then he went to Vietnam. And that's when his painting hand was shot off.
Yes, he had actually received a scholarship to a very prestigious school in New York City, and he was working on his second semester, but because it was a art college, it could not shield him from the draft. And so he was drafted. He went to Vietnam. He was in the Mekong Delta. And after really just a couple months there, he was on patrol. He stepped on a landmine trying to get to a helicopter and was shot by a sniper. And the injuries he sustained to his legs and his arms put him in the hospital for about 2 years. And they eventually led to the amputation of his right arm below the elbow. But he did not let that stop him. He realized that his talent was in his head. It was in his mind. And more importantly, he had faith in himself. He had faith that he could, in fact, lead a good life and do great things. And so he got back on the horse and found out right away that his talent had always been there, and it was ready to go, and so was he.
That is so hard to imagine. I mean, when someone is so talented and then to lose that arm, that hand, and many of us would have just said, well, forget it, I'll have to find something else to do. I can't do that anymore. But not Jesse. What kept him going?
Well, I named the book Spirit because that he has an indomitable spirit. And like you said, at 6 years old, he was ready to go with his painting. And again, the faith he had in himself came from his mother, Dolores. And she didn't always understand his career, but she understood him very well. And she instilled this incredible faith within him, and it never left him. And so at his bleakest hour, when he thought this could be it, I will never be able to pursue my dream. In fact, those coals, those bright coals within him were lit up again. And there were several people that helped him along the way, but they were lit up again, and they became a flame. And that flame burned inside him very strongly. And so there was definitely faith in himself. He had faith in God, and he really had faith that his mother believed in him. And I can't stress how important that's been for him throughout his entire life.
So you see, parents, how influential you can be on your children if you just show them you're behind them and continue to encourage them in whatever talent they have. Look how important it was to Jesse Treviño and how it kept him going. And as I said before, how many of us would have just given up at that point and looked for something else to do, but not Jesse. And we're so thankful for that. Many of you I know have seen his beautiful artwork in various places here in San Antonio, but the most visible, I think, is on the facade of Children's Hospital of San Antonio. That beautiful tile mural that can be seen from the expressway IH-10 and IH-35. You're heading westbound, northbound in downtown San Antonio. I mean, tens of thousands of travelers see that
every day.
Every day. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, it is, and that's on the cover of the book. And it's the name of that piece is called Spirit of Healing. And there's a lot of very interesting things about that piece. One is that it took almost 200,000 pieces of hand-cut tile. And Jesse did the majority of the cutting. It was also interesting because the angel that you see, the face of the angel is a combination of his mother and of his oldest sister, Eva, who died tragically when he was very young, but was probably, after his mother, his most ardent supporter. And the little boy that you see is his son, Jesse Treviño Jr., and it was taken from a photo of when Jesse Jr. was, I guess, around 10 years old. And there's a dove in the piece, but I can tell you that at the time that picture was taken, he was holding a pet hedgehog. Yes, but it's a very remarkable piece, and like you said, tens of thousands of people every day see that piece. I have heard so many times that from readers, I was born in that hospital. And then I'll hear from somebody down the line, everyone was born in that hospital. So it was, and the story behind that is very important too, because Jesse saw that wall when he was just around 20 years old. And he saw that wall and knew he was going to put something on it. And it took him about 30 years to realize that and to get the city and to get the hospital on his side. But that, again, was this spirit, this determination, and he was not going to be stopped. He knew he was going to put something on that wall, and he did.
And, of course, much of his artwork is at the Smithsonian Institution.
Yes, it is. He has two pieces there. One of them is beautiful. It's called Mis Hermanos, and it's of his brothers. And it's a beautiful piece because it has all of his brothers, and he had 11 siblings. And so these are all of his brothers. And behind it, you can see this beautiful tree. And I always see family tree in that piece. And so it was a gift to the Smithsonian, and it's very important there. It belongs there. There's also another piece in the San Antonio Museum of Art called Dolores Trevino, and that is of his mother. And that too is a very important piece because people say, that's my mother. And it's of her in her backyard. You can see the clothesline behind her with the laundry flapping in the breeze. And she's got this look of quiet determination on her face. And I've heard from so many people, and I know Jesse has heard from so many people, that was my mother too. When I see that, I see everyone's mother from the West Side in that painting. So Jesse just knew how to capture moments, people, things that represented greater events, greater ideas.
And another one of my favorites is another tile work, and that is Our Lady of Guadalupe candle, La Vela at Plaza Guadalupe. That is magnificent, and I often take my friends there and I say, this is another little tourist stop that you need to see.
Yes, and he did that because he noticed that the area around there was starting to get a little depressed, and he didn't want that to happen. He's very concerned about the West Side. He has a very romantic, nostalgic feeling about the West Side.
Well, that's where he was born and raised.
And so he decided he wanted to do something for that area that represented the culture. And while the Veladora is religious in nature, it's much more cultural to Mexican Americans. And so he decided that that was the item that would best represent and best bring out some light in that area. And the fact that it's 3D, the fact that it's not a working candle, but it practically could be, is so special because it just brings the art off the canvas and to the people.
It is absolutely beautiful, and it just moves me so much, and I know that it moves others as well. You know, I mean, the religious aspect behind it is just so special to so many of us. So we're so grateful to him for doing that. And grateful to you tonight. We are at the Elizabeth and Sueltenfuss Library, where Anthony Head is going to talk about his book and have a book signing here as well. And how can people there who could not be with us tonight get a copy of your book, Spirit, The Life and Art of Jesse Treviño?
Well, of course, it's on Amazon. It's at Amazon.com. It's at Walmart.com. If you go to the Twig bookstore, which is a wonderful bookstore, they always have copies there. You can go to the Texas A&M University Press website. It's, I believe, TAMU.com, and they were the publisher of the book. And so they sell copies, and wherever fine books are sold.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. God bless you, and good luck in sales of the book.
Thank you very much. It has been my honor to talk with you. What it look like with a pencil or crayon on a piece of scrap paper or whatever canvas was handy.
This is Paul Chavez with the Cesar Chavez Foundation. You're watching Catholic TV of San Antonio. And remember, si se puede con Dios.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Just 5 minutes of knowing Jesse's backstory is captivating. And I knew right there and then I was going to write about him.
And now, finally, we have the man of the hour, the artist himself, Jesse Treviño. We've talked about your beautiful work that people see every time they drive down I-35 and I-10. Now, we don't want distracted drivers, but you, I know you've seen it. When you're passing there, you've seen the beautiful artwork. That's the tile mural that's on the facade of Children's Hospital of San Antonio. You must be awfully proud of that.
Oh, what can I say? I can say a whole lot because that particular mural has so many really interpretations of what people saw and at the moment that they saw that or of the experiences that they had. People will tell me, but I don't even know about that mural making them. Just kind of, I say stop and really think about what's important in your life. Yeah.
Anthony Head, the author of the book, Spirit, The Life and Art of Jesse Treviño, told us that the little boy was actually your son.
Yeah, well, the whole mural is about something. And I think it could have been, the subject matter could have been anything. I mean, practically, but dealing with the youth of during the I guess the 90s, when there was a lot of the gangs and things that perhaps what I should do as an artist is do something for them, And it was about the guardian angel. The concept of the guardian angel was been done so many different ways and different types. Right? So it happened that I was doing some research on some of the headstones from San Fernando Cemetery of some of the angels and tombstones that they had in the San Fernando. And also I was taking photographs of my son holding different, like a cat, and he had a hedgehog, and he was holding it. So I had pictures of it. Had already done a painting of him holding I was going to do a portrait of him holding a hedgehog.
Holding the hedgehog, but in the tile mural, it's a dove.
But having those photographs, one of the angel that I had taken at the San Fernando, and some of my son, they sort of kind of came together, per se, and there I saw that it was about direction, all the things that are vital for bringing up a kid that were so important, and that if there's a message for the people to see that, and it's sort of that should be our focus, that our youth, and taking care of their future, they're guiding them. What an incredible obligation to do that, and if we did that we'd live in a more beautiful place.
But that mural is 90 feet high. So you must have spent a lot of time on the ladder.
Well, the thing is, we created it. You have to, the whole technology of doing this mural back in the mid-90s was we created it on a panel, a 2-foot by 4-foot panel that's very light, where the tiles are actually cemented on the panel. Okay, and then we'll sit in this warehouse, laid down in a warehouse, where each of the panels came together, almost like in the form of like bricks they do, and one over the other, staggered. Yeah, so all of it was like pre-cut, all these panels, all grouted, the panels, all of that. Which it took a lot of work. It came out in the Ripley's, believe it or not, because of so many pieces that.
How many?
They say, I don't know the exact number, but yeah.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, they were all hand cut. That made it such a special mural, the way it was put together.
Jesse, what's even more amazing is that you had to overcome such a major obstacle when your hand was amputated, well, part of your arm and your hand in Vietnam. And then you had to learn to paint with your left hand. What kept you going? Tell us about that. Share that with us.
Maybe as frustrating as it was many times, there were so many really great times. That for me, it's like when you have a problem, you try to find a solution, and you solve it, and you fix the problem. For me, it was, hey, I got to find a way how to do this. And once I did, I could almost master it. I remember my friends told me, well, you have an advantage because you got your own tools. Like, this is a tool. When I cut tile and all that, I could hold it, and you know what I'm saying? So
you turned a negative into a positive, and you used the hook.
Sometimes people don't realize that some things take me longer to do because I do them differently. But ultimately, I get the job done. How am I going to get that large piece of wood up there by myself? Well, I'll figure a way. And I think that discovering, and for me, I knew that was what I had to do. I have to find a way of how to do this. I can't say, well, I can't do it, And so,
But other people may have. There's some other people right now who probably have other obstacles, and they're giving up right now. So what can you say to them?
Well, I'm the perfect example of obstacles, the things that happened to me. Ultimately, it's about the art for me, what to create. That it doesn't matter like how long it takes or whatever, but just create what the kind of things that are just what. It doesn't matter. Forget about technique and how things are done and all that. Just find a way to do it, and ultimately, it all comes together. For me, it was all the knowledge that I already had, that I knew, almost like an advantage over anybody, because of all my experiences. When I was drafted, I was in New York. I was studying art in New York, on that scholarship. And ended up in Vietnam, and that was, that whole story for me, it almost seemed like whatever's going to be there, that wall, that seems to make it difficult for me to, I've been feeling better lately. And once I feel really good, I start thinking about the things that I could do. And sometimes there are things that are monumental, and there might be, but they're important,
But how does it feel? You growing up in the West Side, this boy from the West Side, you had 11 siblings, is that right? 11 brothers and sisters?
Well,
and to end up in the Smithsonian Institution?
Well, all of those things. As when I was a little kid, I thought about museums and galleries and the museum. How could I get there? What did I have to do to get there? And I knew what people would tell me. Well, first, if I wanted to get those scholarships, I entered different contests, national contests that offered scholarships, and I won. So I won a lot of competitions in my lifetime as a kid, because that's the only way I could accomplish something.
So you knew from the time you were a child that you wanted to be in a museum. You wanted your work to be in a museum.
And I didn't know any other Mexican Americans being in places like that. So
there were no role models for you, and the museums in the West Side.
But the paintings that I was painting, like the Raspa Man, or Te Cabes Kelly Field, are about us, and they're about America. Those are the faces of Americans. See what I'm saying? That's who we are. That's what we look like. You don't see them like that on a canvas.
But other people do because of you.
Well, I wanted to almost dignify them by doing something noble, like painting them in a certain way that it's very positive for them.
Thank you so much.
I thought that if we had more of that, where there's no time thinking about all these other terrible things. That it's about culture. Culture. Sometimes I feel like it's going the wrong way, or things are happening. But hopefully, after people learn, maybe this isn't such a good idea. And, sometimes we've got to go through a lot of different things.
You paint us in a positive light for others to see, and the way we live.
Exactly. With me, my art has to be tied into that. I don't paint just for pleasure, having a good time or anything like that. It's because I've got something to say.
Thank you so much.
For everyone, and I'm going to Minneapolis for the exhibit that the Smithsonian is taking to the Minneapolis Museum, and it's the Vietnam exhibit that's going over there, and I have that mural that's it will be the centerpiece of the whole exhibit. So I've been invited to go over there and be part of that. So I feel like I'm taking San Antonio with me over there.
Yes, sir.
And with San Antonio, I'm talking about people, faces, and how I do something like that. It gives them up and in the right direction, and not so many things that are so negative.
Well, wonderful. And let me say, welcome home, soldier. And thank you for all that you have done for us, the sacrifices you made for our country, and the beautiful work that you continue to do. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Jesse Treviño, on the scene on Catholic Television of San Antonio.